In my tweet, I singled out immigration, Israel, Palestine, and tariffs. Those are the three key issues that Biden is 100% aligned with Trump on. Okay? And then I also mentioned one aspect that he's not aligned with Trump on, which is his most important key difference between him and Trump. Now, problem here is liberals don't even fucking know how to advocate for the Democratic Party correctly. Liberals also don't personally understand how politics is supposed to work. Okay? Liberals only operate on lesser evil voting. People do not care about lesser evil voting. Okay? People do not think critically on many issues, and they especially don't think critically on lesser evil voting. If you consistently advocate on just how not as bad as the Republicans you are going to whittle away all of the people that would readily vote for you. Keith Olberbitch not only replied to you, but he also quote tweeted and wrote the same thing again with a bunch of spelling errors because he was so horned up. I mean, didn't we do that last election? Yes, we did do that last election. And notice something I have personally stated, okay, time and time again, was, this is him, by the way. Wait, that's what Aaron looks like? Oh my God. Okay. Something that I mentioned time and time again is a key principle in why people vote a certain way. Okay. Democrats have completely lost touch with the reality that you are supposed to offer something to people. Okay. Not just simply engage in a defensive posture. You have to offer them something, and then you have to prove to the people that voted for you that it was a good idea to vote for you. Engaging in pure team sports to say like, no, it's better if it's a D instead of an R that's doing the same exact initiatives, then, you know, it feels like your team won and then you can own the fucking conservatives, is not going to be good enough to actually win elections consistently. The Democratic Party's platform that they advocate for across the board, if we look at it holistically, is still significantly better than the Republican Party's platform. The issue is that the Democratic Party rarely ever follows through on their agenda, consistently loses and says, oh, well, it's because of the structural hurdles that were placed in front of us, a thing that no Republican has ever stopped themselves from advocating for, to a detriment, mind you, because Republican politics and Republican policy are both, I mean, Republican politics is good, but their policies are bad, right? And the Democratic Party's policies are supposed to be good, but their politics are supposed to be bad. Republicans never fucking say, oh man, like Mitch McConnell never goes, oh dude, we have structural hurdles. That's why we can't allow Obama to appoint a Supreme Court justice. That's not something that stops them. Okay. They do their bidding for their most loyal constituencies. All right. They do it sometimes to a detriment to the continuation of the party. What is this, bro? I swear every take you have is wrong. You say Israel's an apartheid state. That is completely wrong. I live in Israel and it is no apartheid. Only apartheid in the Middle East is in Arab countries and Iran with gender apartheid. I love you, chatter. Thank you for that take. That was brilliant. Yes, you're right. Every human rights group is wrong. You are right. How is this argument lesser evil voting? It's not only lesser evil voting when the counterpart pundit is diametrically opposed to the other. Considering I'm being charitable to him and seeing his post about policy. What? I'm going to get to it. Hold on. Let's continue. So, yeah, the Shah Dick Rider has moved away from the monarch, who also doesn't have exactly favorable opinions on women, mind you, to saying that as a Persian soldier living in Israel, all of the human rights groups that say that, you know, that correctly, accurately assess Israel's apartheid regime as anything but an apartheid, as just an apartheid regime, they're all wrong, actually. Anyway, so moving away from that idiotic talking point that I've addressed a million times over, let's get back to the point of contention here. Okay. So the Democratic Party is supposed to say, look, if you vote for us, we are not as bad as the Republican Party. We will scale back on the Republican Party's death and destruction. We will scale back on the deregulation. We will scale back on the environmental impact, the damaging impact on the environment as a consequence of deregulation and many other things. We will defend labor rights. We will defend workers. We will create better economic opportunities, upward social mobility for some of the wealth, some of the least wealthy Americans, some of the poorest Americans, all that good stuff. We will protect immigrants. We will protect marginalized people, whether they're trans, black, brown, whatever, and also women's rights. We will protect women's reproductive rights specifically. Okay? These are the things broadly that the Democratic Party is advocating for as they position themselves as not the Republican Party. The Republican Party is advocating for the opposite things, right? However, back in the day, the idea was that if you voted for a Democrat, at least they would never champion the Republican Party's position on these issues, right? Nowadays, the Democratic Party doesn't even do the lip service. They just say, fuck you, vote for us, and that's it. And in that time frame, in that process, the things that they can point to get smaller and smaller and smaller as the daylight between the two parties and their policies actually reduce. In 2020, you could say, and the Democratic Party did say, that all of the brutalization that you're seeing from the police against the free press, all the brutalization that you're seeing from the police, Trump's police, against protesters, we will never do that. That was a lie, as you can see clearly with what's going on with the pro-Palestinian demonstrations all around college campuses all around the United States of America. They're beating the shit out of students. They're beating the shit out of teachers. They're beating the shit out of even the press. Another thing that the Biden administration said was, we are not going to be like the Trump administration with their child separation policy and their immigrant detentions. We are going to be, America is a nation founded on immigration. We are all descendants of immigrants. We are a wonderful nation. We could take care of all these people. We are going to do our very best to reverse Trump's policies on immigration. The Biden administration, on the other hand, literally continued Title 42. The Trump administration's only policy in combating COVID was Title 42, saying that the CDC thinks that these migrants might have COVID, and therefore they can't come into the country in an effort to protect Americans from COVID, while simultaneously denying COVID was real anyway. The Brandon administration continued that policy. The Brandon administration continued immigrant detention. The Brandon administration also, 4 years after, it ran a successful campaign, mind you, against the Trump administration, saying that they were going to reverse in the first 100 days all of the Trump administration's immigration policies, turned around and advocated for the exact same bill that the Trump administration was trying to pass over and over again, funding the border wall, funding Customs and Border Patrol, and beefing up border security, assuming that the right-wing framing on the issue of immigration was actually not one of false economic, immigration has always been an economic issue. Still, falsehoods are presented in the conversation on the Republican front, and the Democrats are supposed to tackle it from the economic front and be like, no, they're not actually taking your jobs, yada, 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 right? But they dropped that completely and took on the right-wing framing on the border. They took on the framing that the Republicans were advancing, saying that, no, immigration is actually a matter of national security. Immigrants are violent. Immigrants are rapists. Immigrants are thieves. And what ended up happening is basically the same exact thing that you see all around the world. You see in Europe especially, right? That people are now more militant against immigrants than ever before. And the reason for that is because the Democratic Party has also given up on arguing on the real boundaries of this issue and arguing for real solutions to this problem. A problem that is born out of right-wing, white nativist, anti-immigrant sentiments. Okay? I am not a violent rapist. Thief says Iraqi Mo. Daddy Pie says, I think immigrants are terrible. Okay? Great. I love having a diversity of opinion in the chat. Meanwhile, regardless of the diversity of opinion, both of you guys are going to see the top of the hour ad break because neither of you are subscribed for $5 or for free. That's right. If you no longer want to see those ads, immigrant, naturalized citizen, natural born U.S. citizen, doesn't matter. You still need to subscribe for $5 or for free. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Greg Abbott pardons Daniel Perry, the man who mowed down BLM protesters and clearly premeditated it. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. It's at least shocking white supremacist action taken by that fucking piece of shit. My point is, if you keep capitulating the right-wing framing on issues, you're going to lose that issue completely. Because why the fuck would people believe you now that you've had an attitude shift? When there are people that have been on the immigrants or rapists side with clarity, with moral clarity for quite some time. All you've now done is say, no, they're actually right. I'm handing it to the right wing. They're correct. I'm the one who'll fix it, but the right won't let me fix it by being right wing. It is an idiotic bargain that is both bad policy and also even worse politics. Okay? It's something that, in my opinion, is completely unconscionable and also furthering the fascist agenda in this country. It is genuinely devastating. It is genuinely scary. And I cannot comprehend how any liberal doesn't see that fucking reality, the writing on the wall. Okay? No DMs today? What DM? What are you talking about? Anyway. Dems are bringing the border bill back to the forefront. That's great. Chris Murphy. In Twitter? What? That's weird. Today I'm reintroducing the bipartisan border security bill. It's not a bipartisan bill. It is a right-wing bill, by the way. It's only bipartisan because it's a right-wing bill that the Democrats are pushing for. It's insane to me that they're doing this again. Basketball analogy. If you're given the option between Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, two players who overlap greatly, everyone's picking MJ. If you're racist, you want the MJ of racism law. No, it's like having the option. Let's say you're like a chess grandmaster, okay? It's like being a chess grandmaster and saying, I want to fucking play against LeBron in a dunk competition. It's like, what are you doing? You're going to get owned. You know what I mean? There's no reason to go to a dunk competition. LeBron is going to destroy you. Play chess. Bad analogy? I don't think so. So, it is very frustrating to see the Democratic Party do this over and over again, and only to have these people only to have these fucking idiotic people defend this silly notion. People do not vote on lesser evil voting boundaries. It is stupid, okay? And the expectation that, like, you are owed their vote as the Democratic Party is also stupid. The expectation that you are owed their vote and not vice versa is inherently undemocratic. Why the fuck do we have a democracy then? You have to fall in line and offer fealty to the Lord, to one lordship over the other? Okay, well, why do we have a democracy then? No, you're supposed to fucking earn our vote, man. Anyway, what the fuck did Keith Olbermann say? He has some takes on it as well, I heard. I saw earlier, but I have to pee. And tax policy and union support and climate investment and agency regulations and judicial picks and protections for trans people and DACA protections and marijuana policy and student loan forgiveness and overtime regulations, cabinet picks and renewable interest. Exactly. That's why they voted in the first place. If you act out of line, you should be instantly ousted. Like, I don't even personally disagree with Hutch Hutchinson on this issue, on some, right? A lot of this is just like a laundry list of things that he wishes the Democratic Party was doing, but there are some that the Democratic Party is like genuinely taking the initiative on, right? Union protections being one of them. It's true. You're wrong if you don't think that the NLRB is not doing a good job. However, the issue here is still the idea that people are supposed to come to these conclusions on their own when the Democratic Party is not showing them that they're doing that. Okay? Even if the Joe Biden administration